Hello. Welcome back to another YouTube video. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Ketan. I call myself that day-to-day guy, and I'm just here sharing some of my experiences that I've had in my life. I'm almost 50 years old, and today's video is entitled My Younger Criminal Past. Makes me sound a bit gangster, but trust me, I'm far from gangster, as you can probably tell by my somewhat, I hate to use this word, or phrase rather, but somewhat middle-class accent. But I'm from Neasden. I grew up in a very normal, average area, and I was a bit naughty. And I'm sharing this because, for a number of reasons. A, because I like to give people a balanced view of me and of the world. So, certainly in my community where I live in Windsor, I'm a bit of a busybody, and I'm, always doing various things for other people. And people always say to me, "Oh, you're so nice, blah-de-da-de-da." And whilst I acknowledge that, yes, I can be, you also didn't know me when I wasn't so nice. And I say I wasn't so nice, but or also just going back, another reason I'm sharing this is because if you're a parent that's got, a younger kids, or even younger adult kids, maybe what I speak about next might give you some hope, maybe give you some ideas of how to get through to your child, and maybe put them on the right path. But let's get started. So when I was younger, I was a kid, obviously, and I was a bit of a overactive imagination, a very creative kid. So I like making things and figuring things out, how they work and so on. And even as a child, I remember I used to steal stuff from school. And then as we grew a bit older, I remember one summer, my mum, bless her, she used to have asthma, and she used to spend quite a few weeks at a time in hospital as a kid. And as a kid, we aren't fully aware of the impact of this. But anyway, my dad would drop me to my cousin's house. I stayed at my cousin's house for a week or so, and we got caught shoplifting from the shop. Martin, the newsagent in Perivale, I remember, and I fucking shit myself. Oh man, it's quite a scary thing. It must have been in my sort of early teens maybe. But anyway, you think that's enough to scare me, but no, I carried on. I got a bit older, and then my friends and I would go out to Staples office store and steal stuff, and I would sell it at school. And one day we stole a CD-ROM drive. And when I say CD-ROM drive, I don't mean like the size of a car stereo. That's what they were, but the boxes they came in to really sell them for more money, if you will, were about sort of that big. And I nicked one, and I got caught. I think I was 16 years old, 16 or 17, but I was old enough where I forget what the age is whether legally got to tell your parents or not. But anyway, police came down, took me away to, I forget which police station even now, but Willesden I think it was. It took me away to police station and got home. I took a bus home, walked around the corner. My dad was outside, and my dad already knew because he'd had the call. And I got a bit of a ass whooping and whatnot from my dad. And I guess what had me doing these things is we would steal in a bit more of a kind of creative way. And I'm not going to go into every single thing and give you guys ideas. But from there, we went on to, I forget which one came first. Stealing car parts. We'd go out at night time and I'd sneak out of my parents' house. I'd go downstairs. I'd open the back door, get out of the house, grab some tools from my dad's van if need be, and we'd go out and basically, take all sorts of bits of cars and whatnot. And this went on for some time. And then what happened is we got arrested. Got arrested one night trying to take a front bumper off a Volkswagen Golf, Mark II Golf. And I used to work in car audio at the time. I had a part-time job on a Saturday working car audio, so I could basically disengage or whatever, cut the alarm. But anyway, we still got caught because we parked the car down the road, and then we were just literally one turn away from getting on the North Circular, and the police came and stopped us, and bang, game over. And the only question I asked the policeman is, are my parents going to find out about this? And he said, how old are you? I think I said 17 or 18. No, I was actually older than that at the time, maybe 19 or 20. And he said, no, you're over 18, so no. I thought, phew. I mean, I knew I was going to be in trouble, but the person I was most scared of was my dad. So went to the police station. They kept us in overnight. When I got out of the station in the morning, I still went to the front desk and I said, listen, just want to make sure that my parents don't know about what's happened. And they said, no, we didn't tell them. I said, well, it sounds like you spoke to them. And they said, yeah, we do a check. If you don't have ID on you, we send a police officer around to check that you live there. And I was like, you sent a police officer around to my house at 2, 3 in the morning. Like, of course my parents know that something's up now. Because the policeman went around and said, does Ketan Hirani live here? And they said, and my dad said, yeah, I'll get him for you. And they said, well, he's not here. He's at the Collindale police station. So, whether they told my parents or not, my parents knew something was up, obviously. So next day, again, I got bollocked, gave some bullshit story to my dad about how we took Shan's car out, he didn't know where the petrol station was, and la-di-da-di-da-di-da, and it was, the fact that I thought my dad believed me is crazy, because I'm my dad's age now. I'm the age that my dad was, and if a 20-year-old, 21-year-old kid told me there's such a far-fetched story, I'd be like, yeah, sure, buddy. Anyway, that was arrest number 2. Then I used to work I'm not going to give the name away, but I used to work at a retail outlet, a big chain retail outlet, and I was a bit of a whiz on a computer. My dad bought a computer for me when I was 7 years old, 1984, an Amstrad CPC 464 from Toys R Us Brent Cross. And not because my dad was loaded, because my dad just wanted to give us the best possible start in life within the the means that he had, and bless him for that. But being on a keyboard from 1984 meant that in my late teens, I was so quick on a computer. And when this retail outlet's computer tills went from the kind of normal analog tills to computer tills, I started running all sorts of catch me if you can things. I used to take till roll home, receipt roll. I used to put it in my dad's dot matrix printer. I'd get a legit receipt. I would basically scan it into the computer and move letters around and make fake receipts. But this went on for some time, and I obviously got caught because we got greedy. And then in January, was it 99, I think it was, police came round. I obviously got fired from my job, but months after that, police came round. It was 99 actually. Police came round and arrested me in front of my parents, and they took me to the police station. And before that, my dad was saying to the police officer in the house, in the hallway, saying, listen, whatever it costs, I'll pay it, but don't let anything happen to my son. And when I look back at that moment, as much of a selfish little shit I was, that really hit home, because I thought to myself, man, my dad is still defending me. I'm in the wrong and my dad is still defending me. The policeman put me in the car. The policeman turns around and says, kid, you need to sort your life out. You come from a good family. You're obviously clever. Cleverer than average. And you need to channel that energy into something else, because if you don't, you're going to be in trouble, big trouble. Anyway, he then said to me that I'm going to speak to your former employer and I'm going to request that you pay the money back, and they don't press charges, because if they press charges, this is going to look bad on you. And he did. He stuck to his word, and he did what he set out to do, and I paid money back, and that was the end of the matter. But coincidentally, that was a time when I started to hang around with other people. Not to say the people I was hanging around with were bad, because these guys are still my friends to this day, and we've all grown up. We're all good, contributing to society people now, and but they were all similar age to me at the time, and started hanging around with some older people, business people, and it just, my perspective changed, because of what my dad was saying to the police officer and what the police officer said to me. So it's a number of different things that changed my perspective, and I went from one extreme to the other. When I was working in my next job, the amount of people I caught stealing from work, both staff and customers, it's funny, because I was on one side of the fence and then I was on the other side of the fence. But I'm sharing this, as I said, because I'm sure there are people who, and I guess, I don't know, crime is obviously different now. People steal for different reasons. Mine was pure greed, because it wasn't like my parents didn't buy me stuff. I had a job. I was just an idiot, I still think about why I did it, and I, for the life of me, can't exactly figure it out. But why I stopped was because I was clear that this is not the kind of life I wanna lead. And I think role models had a lot to do with it. So people that I aspired to be like, as people that I'd met in my real life. So if you've got people, young people in your life that are like I was, obviously I wasn't like a hardened criminal. It was really petty stuff. But I say petty stuff, but it could have grown into, whilst I wasn't violent crime or anything, or drugs and alcohol and all that malarkey, it could have, very much gotten out of control and become a bigger thing. But luckily it didn't. So happy days, yay. If you've got somebody in your life who's young and is kind of susceptible to this kind of thing, I think a big thing would be trying to get them around people who they look up to. And sometimes it has to be people outside of your household, because it's not like my parents didn't tell me this stuff. Like when you're a kid and your parents tell you stuff, in your mind, you have this perception of your parents, that your parents are losers, and your parents are not they're not the kind of people that you want to take advice from. And when I think back on my life now, I think to myself, man, my dad at my age was way better off than I am. So how I even thought that my dad was, frankly, let's call it an idiot. I thought my dad was an idiot, but my dad was a G. And I'm laughing right now because it's so funny how wrong my perception of my dad was. But I lost my train of thought now. But yeah, introduce your kid, child, whatever, to people who are outside of your house, because they will listen to that person in a very different way. We have the listening we have for our parents is different to the listening we have for somebody from the outside. So you could say one thing to your kid, somebody from the outside could say something, you're like, wow. But you listen to this person, i.e. the ones who are close to you, in a different way, because you've got all the baggage from the past and all the moaning they've done at you. So you're not listening to the message, you're listening to the past communication. Whereas a stranger says something and it's like, oh my God, this person's so wise. And yeah, sometimes they might say stuff that is wise, but nevertheless, this I think has worked for me. And obviously, I'm very much, even when I'm giving advice to friends and so on, I'll say that, you need to get someone else to give that advice to your kid. Because, and even me sometimes, if I'm giving advice to someone I know they're not listening to me. So the more other people I can get to say the same thing, they'll understand and they'll listen more. Because who says the thing isn't important. What's important is that the message gets through. And, you know, I'm here, so if anyone here like wants to reach out to me, I'm easy to get hold of. My socials are on here. You want to chat? I'm no qualified psychologist or whatever, but I've been there where my life was one way and now it's another way. And in any way, if I can support somebody else, this is why I do my weekly YouTube videos, just to make a difference. It sounds cheesy. It sounds very cheesy, but that is the reality of it. This is not any kind of commercial, certainly not making any money from it, hell no. But yeah, I think that's it. Pretty much wanted to kind of share that with you. So we're going back to 1999, okay? So 26 years ago, before anybody starts to change their mind about me. It was more than half my life ago. So yeah. And I'm kind of laughing in this because I'm thinking of sometimes now, even now actually, sometimes I'll go into shops, I'll be in scenarios where I think to myself, there's a bit of a loophole there for abuse. And I'll say to whoever I'm with, I say, look, this is a thing, because my mind just works differently. And sometimes when the government's taxing us like crazy, I think to myself, man, if I led a criminal life, maybe I'd be better off. But, you know, this is obviously all jokes, you know, all joking, because fundamentally, I actually like the fact that I can sleep at night, I can live an honest life. Nobody has to lose for me to win. Does that make sense? And that's a big life lesson in any relationship, even not about monetary, even just anything. You know, for you to win, it doesn't mean others have to lose. And if you have that mentality, you will definitely make better decisions that will better impact the people around you. So something to keep in mind. And it's getting late now, so I shall bid you farewell, and we will see you next week. As always, ciao for now. Thank you for listening, and if you like what you see, feel free to subscribe or just watch from the sideline, as my videos might, you know, pop up every now and again. And once again, thank you for watching.